What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another Dragon Ball Super deck profile. With the upcoming Broly movie coming out in just 2 more months, a lot of people have been asking me what my take is on Broly, because I've never actually played the Broly deck, the Broly leader before. Broly was never a character that I really cared much for, but I did like the mechanics that the Broly deck brought. It was the original hand destruction for this game, and I like the way it all flows together, so we did go ahead and throw together a deck, and we added in the best cards we could possibly think of to make the deck flow as smoothly as possible. And of course, you can't run the deck without the leader himself, Broly. Now, the only thing I really don't like about this leader is he cannot attack battle cards at all. Any battle card, ever. So he can only attack the leader, which is kind of aggravating, especially when you don't want to just needlessly give your opponent more cards. But when this card attacks, both players choose 1 card from their hand and place it in the drop area. And then, of course, since he is a leader from set 1, you draw 2 upon awakening. Into Broly, the Legendary Super Saiyan. Now, he still can attack battle cards. And when he attacks, you draw a card, then both players choose a card from their hand and a card from their battle area and place those cards in the drop area. So, you -1, your opponent -2. So you keep your opponent lower on advantage than you yourself are, and with the right combination of cards, you can really limit your opponent's options as to what they have to kill and what they have to discard as well. So first up, of course, you can't run the Broly leader reliably without running Broly's Ring.
Behave, Broly.
It's a 1-cost field card. It says your hand is not affected by your leader card Broly skills. So with this card, you don't have to discard cards from the leader. And with it being only a 1 cost, you can play it on your first turn. You never have to deal with the repercussions to your leader's ability. Now, if you don't manage to get the Broly's Ring during the first, set of turns, or from your mulligan, then we run 2 Paragus Controller of Monsters.
Don't worry about that.
Now, I'm not really a fan of this card, because it seems like it's a waste of 2 energy. When you play this card, you can place a card from your hand in the drop area, and if you do so, choose and activate a Broly's Ring from your deck. So he brings out the ring, which is nice, it helps you, but I feel like it's a waste. Like, I don't like to have to use him. He's there in, the really desperate situation that you need to play him, but Broly's Ring itself is just kind of, I don't know, I feel like you should be able to get it on mulligan with, 4 copies. Although, it does, since it plays the ring automatically, it does essentially make him a 1-cost 10k, because you're playing the ring for free. So, he's not terrible, I just feel like more than 2 is kind of unnecessary. Then we have the card that starts it all, Broly, Dawn of Rampage. He's a 1-cost 5,000 that says when you play this card, look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck and add 1 green Broly among them to your hand. So he can search out any of your Broly cards and then stick around to be an evolution fodder for them as well. So the first big bad Broly card is going to be Endless Evolution Broly. It was a tournament promo, and the foil is just fantastic on it. He's a 3-cost 15,000 that says, when evolving this card into a Broly from your hand, the evolve cost is decreased by 2 green. When you play this card, your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and KOs it. So he automatically comes in, KOs a battle card, and then the leader is going to force your opponent to KO another one of their battle cards. And so it helps you limit your opponent's options, both in their hand and on the board. Up next, we have a Broly that is even better at limiting your opponent's options. It's Deathless Warrior Broly. Now, I really like this one. You can evolve him for 3 green on any Broly. And his permanent says, when evolving this card into a Broly with a different card name from your hand, the evolve cost is decreased by 2 green. So the same evolution reduction that Endless Evolution has. And then when you play this card, if your leader card is Broly, your opponent may choose one of their battle cards and KO it. If they don't KO a card this way, they instead choose 2 cards from their hand and place them in the drop area. So you can force your opponent to have to discard the 2 cards by making sure that their board stays clear of battle cards, both with the leader's ability and with the other Broly battle card abilities too. Then when Broly hits the peak of his power, we have Broly, the Rampaging Horror. He's a 6 cost 30,000 that evolves for 4 green and 1 other, and he has double strike. And when you play this card, you choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's hand at random and place them in the drop area. So they fan their hand out, you snag 2 of them and drop them. This guy's really nice because he's a great finisher, and he also hopefully can rip away some of your opponent's last remaining defensive cards. And with it being random, you have a good chance of hitting something that they don't want to lose. Now, if the game has gone in your favor and your opponent doesn't have many cards in their hand to begin with, then a cheaper alternative to the Rampaging Horror is the Rampaging Lifeform Bio Brawly. He's a 5 cost 20,000 with evolve cost of 2 green and 2 other. So 1 energy cheaper to evolve than the Rampaging Horror. And they both have double strike, although this one only has 20,000 power instead of 30. But when a card evolves into this card, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and places them in the drop area. So if your opponent's hand is pretty low anyways, and the choices aren't really there to make, this is a cheaper alternative. And at that point, you really don't need the 30,000 power, because if your opponent doesn't have many options to combo with anyways, then you're going to still get that attack through. And in the case that they don't have a lot of options, they can attempt to combo out and then have even less options, or they're just going to take that 2 damage regardless. Now, for a little added extra search power, and for another one drop alternative, we also run Trunks Bridge to the Future. He's a 1 cost 5,000 that says, when you play this card, look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 Saiyan among them and add it to your hand, and the rest are sent to the drop area. So with him, you can add any of the Brolys to your hand, you can add the Paragus to your hand, you can add any of the Saiyans in this deck, which every battle card in this deck is a Saiyan, with the exception of 4 of them. So anything can be added. Hopefully you don't hit a Broly's ring or, you know, any of your other extra cards with it. Then, although not directly related to the Broly engine at all, we run 4 Saiyan Teamwork Kaba. He's a 2 cost 10k with a permanent that says, while this card is in play in your battle area, decrease the energy cost and specified green cost of Khalifa and Kale in your hand. And when you play this card, look at up to 10 cards from the top of your deck, choose a Khalifa or Kale, and add it to your hand. If the chosen card was Khalifa, you can play it instead. So the whole reason to running this Kaba is so that we can use his ability strictly to be able to free play Unstoppable Ambition Super Saiyan Khalifa. It's a 2 cost 20,000 with the permanent that says your battle cards can't be KO'd by your own skills, and that your battle cards cannot be placed in the drop area by your own skills. So this, along with Broly's Ring, prevents the leader's awakened ability from hitting your hand or your field. And when you play this card, you choose 1 card from your life and add it to your hand. So she can also help you self-awaken to be able to start abusing Broly's awakened abilities. Then, partly because we only had 1, but also because it's not really the focus of this deck, we do run in here a Hidden Awakening Kale. She's a 4 cost 20,000 with critical that says, when you play this card, choose 1 of your battle cards and KO it. Then choose any number of your opponent's battle cards, of which the total costs add up to 5 or less, and KO them. Now this lets you also get rid of a bunch of tokens as well, because it says up to 5. And then when this card attacks, if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, you can draw a card. She's basically in there as another form of board removal, but she's not really a big focus. The only reason we've dedicated so many slots to Kaba and Khalifa is because the Khalifa protects your board from the Legendary Super Saiyan's awakened ability. Otherwise, neither of them really do much for the deck at all. And once you get the Khalifa out there, the Kaba doesn't really matter. So leaving the Kaba up is okay, or you can attack with him. But it's not like if you were playing a deck dedicated towards Universe 7, towards, you know, Khalifa and Kale. I don't really care to keep that Kaba alive. He's just out there to get a Khalifa, and that's about it. Now, possibly one of my favorite Overrealm cards in the game is Dark Temptation Toa. She's a 3 cost 15,000 to Overrealm for 3. And when you play this card using Overrealm, if your leader card is green or yellow, you choose your leader, and it gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn, and your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it in the drop area. So you get to warp your drop away, force your opponent to discard a card, and Toa then gives your leader Broly a boost, and you can even combo with the Toa again to give you another card in your drop to get you closer to playing her on the following turn. That is the only non-Saiyan card we have in the deck, so there is a chance you could hit it with the Bridge to the Future Trunks, but it's a risk that you're, willing to take. Because it fits the discard theme so well, and to be able to give your leader that extra boost is really nice. Not as nice with the Broly leader, since he can't abuse that boost to KO bigger battle cards, but still nice nonetheless. Then for our super combo, we run 4 Trunks, Protector of Children. The reason we run Trunks is because not only is he a Saiyan, but because we run Overwhelm. Sure, we could run the green Vegeta Sparking combo, but because we do want to Overwhelm every turn if possible, to be able to get as many discards from the opponent, we are better off running Trunks because he's just the basic super combo, and he is a Saiyan as well, so he can be searched via Bridge to the Future Trunks. Then we have another card that kind of forces your opponent into KOing a battle card that they really don't want to when you attack with the leader, and it's Father Son Kamehameha. We only run 2 in the deck because the point to the card is to clear out cards that you normally couldn't get rid of, and when you use this card in tandem with the leader's ability, it forces your opponent to have to get rid of everything that they have on the board instead of them picking the lesser of 2 evils for you. Then, to continue the strategy of keeping your opponent's board clear for your leader, we run 4 Shocking Death Ball. Of course, I don't have the negate yet. Still waiting on our cards to get here, but it's easily one of the best negates in the game right now, just because you can wipe out any 2-cost or less battle card, and if your opponent has anything like that on the board, then it's an easy way to get rid of them. A lot of the blockers are 2-cost, and all the free blockers are 2-cost. So it gives you another way to get rid of cards from your opponent's board that they maybe wanted to try and keep around a little longer. As I stated before, I am not a Broly fan at all. I didn't like the movies. I don't particularly like the character. He had no character. He had no personality to him. But I did like the character's design, and I do like the mechanics behind all the Broly cards and how they force your opponent to keep discarding cards from their hand. So with your opponent charging every turn and then trying to play a card and comboing, and then you're forcing them to discard and blowing up their board, it really kind of condenses down your opponent's resources. And if you play your cards right, it can condense them down to little to nothing. I feel like that seems to fit Broly's theme pretty well. If you guys enjoyed this deck profile, if you are a Broly fan or you are trying to find a way to make the old Broly cards still viable in this day and age, make sure you hit that like button down below for us. We appreciate the support. We appreciate all of our subscribers as well. We are over 1,300 now. You guys have been killing it with the support and all the comments, the messages you guys have been sending me, the conversations I've been having with you guys on deck builds and strategies. You guys have been fantastic, and I look forward to hitting that next 100 barrier that we will be breaking. If you guys have any comments or suggestions on the deck, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I love getting different suggestions from you guys, or hearing about different ways that you have found personally to make older leaders work with the older archetypes as well. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get the freak out of here now, and we'll see you guys in the next video.